I want you to love me enough to teach me how to love you. And I'm not saying teach me the basics. I'm saying teach me the love that was uniquely made for you. I was uniquely made for you. I never said it was easy to love me. But if you're still going to, then I need to know that you're willing to love me properly.
What if poetry could reveal the invisible? Emily Dickinson, the enigmatic and mesmerizing voice of American literature, has, through her intense and striking verses, guide us beyond mere reality. In her poem, she delves into unseen worlds, emotions rarely spoken, and truths concealed behind every word, every silence. Today, let us venture into the singular universe where each line is a key, each metaphor an open door to our own mysteries. Get ready to meet an Emily Dickinson you have never known, the one who whispers the invisible and unveils the essential. In this video, we dive into her life, her works, and uncover what propelled her to the status of a legend. The question I want to ask is, why uncover the hidden secrets of the poet of the invisible? I still remember the first time I read a poem by Emily Dickinson. It was one of those moments when poetry suddenly seems to speak directly to you in such a personal language that you might believe the author has lived the same experience as you. For me, that poem was Because I Could Not Stop for Death. I didn't yet grasp the depth of her words, but something about how she personified death sparked my curiosity. It was if Dickinson transformed the inevitable into an almost a serene journey, which drove me to learn more. Many people regard her as an enigma, an obscure figure in American literature. Yet, her poems are strikingly modern. Dickinson explores themes like solitude, death, love, and the existence of God. They are timeless topics that continue to resonate with us today. The mystery of her reclusive life only adds to the intrigue surrounding her work. Her short, concise poems bring me with incredible depth, reveal hidden truths that few poets have managed to capture. Take, for instance, her poem Because I Could Not Stop for Death, where she personifies death as a courteous travel companion. Because I could not stop for death, it can't be stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. This poem presents death as a peace passage rather than a brutal hand, offering comfort to those contemplating mortality. Dickinson explores the invisible, a source of imagination that reflects our own inner questions. Like her, I sought to understand death and loss after losing my little sister at the age of 5, a mystery that left an immense void and even led me to question the silence of God. In this poem, Emily approaches death with surprising gentleness. She personifies it as a polite driver accompanying the narrator to the beyond. This slow journey symbolizes a natural and peaceful transition, contrasting with images of life such as childhood, fields, and sunset. Dickinson evokes the fleeting nature of life and the setting of death embedded in a larger cycle. For me, this poem resonates with the brutal loss of my sister. Through it, I learned that death can sometimes leave more questions than answers, and I found refuge in poetry to express the inexplicable. Losing a loved one, especially so young, is an experience that leaves deep marks. My little sister left afar too soon, and that moment redefined my perception of life and death. I often turn to poetry to fill this void, to give meaning to this absence. Dickinson's poems, especially Because I Could Not Stop for Death, helped me cope with this loss.
Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. We slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labor and my leisure too, for his civility We passed the school where children strove. At recess, in the ring, we passed the fields of gazing grain. We passed the setting sun, or rather, he passed us.
She presented death as a gentle transition, a form of a journey. This perspective offered me a certain peace. Today, in sharing this reflection with you, I realized that poetry truly has the power to transform our pain into wisdom. Steve Jobs said, "Remembering that I will be dead soon is the most important tool to help me make the big choices in life." Emily offers us a similar vision. Death is not to be feared, it is part of existence. Jobs saw in the same reflection an invitation to live fully. Emily Dickinson offers a similar vision through her poems, reminding us that death is an integral part of life. Far from being a subject to avoid, it becomes, through her words, a point of reflection that allows us to live each moment more fully. Dickinson and Jobs, two opposite voices, yet united in their way of transforming finitude into a source of life. What are the struggles of Emily Dickinson through her works? Emily lived the invisible that she explored in her poems. From her womb in Amherst, Massachusetts, she wrote relentlessly, even though few of her works were published during her lifetime. Her solitude shaped profound poetry, allowing her to probe inner spaces that few dare to confront. And this is my letter to the world. Emily reflects this isolation, an open letter to a world she observed from afar. This is my letter to the world that never wrote to me the simple news that nature told with tender majesty. This poem by Emily Dickinson expresses a call to be understood and welcomed with kindness, even without having been recognized previously by this world to whom she addresses. And hope is the thing with feathers. Dickinson transformed hope into a bird that sings without expecting reward, revealing her talent for capturing the invisible through powerful metaphors. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. This beautiful metaphor is from a poem by Emily Dickinson. Emily, through her poems, take us on an inner journey. Her voluntary withdrawal from society allow her to explore the depth of human emotions, existential questions, and social phenomena. Her poems, far from being simple literary works, act as a spiritual guide, helping us reflect on complex themes such as mortality, solitude, and the existence of God. I remember it as if it were yesterday. During a moment of great solitude in the midst of COVID-19 in 2022, I immersed myself in Dickinson's poetry. Her poem Hope is the Thing with Feathers particularly touched me. It evokes hope as a bird nestled in the soul, singing tirelessly even in the darkness moments. At that time, these words resonate deeply within me, helping me to find hope and carry on even when everything seemed uncertain. Dickinson had a unique talent for marrying personal with the universal. Although she led a reclusive life, her works continue to resonate with universal humanity. For example, in her poem I'm Nobody, Who Are You?, she addresses both the quest for personal identity and the desire for anonymity. She manages to express this tension between the need for recognition and the desire for solitude, a paradox with which many can identify. One of the strengths of Dickinson's poetry lies in her technical mastery. She used punctuations, especially dashes, to create pause and moments of reflection. These spaces of silence allow the reader to ponder each word, thereby amplifying the emotional impact of her poems. In a poem titled I Felt a Funeral in My Brain, the dashes fragment the text, reflecting the troubled mental state of the narrator.
Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul, and sings the tune without the words, and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land, and on the strangest sea. Yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me.
Emily also employs tricking metaphors, embodying complex emotions through simple yet powerful images, as and the soul selects her own society, where she depicts seclusion through the image of a closed door. Beyond poetic artistry, Dickinson's poetry offers profound lessons on life. She reminds us that those who have suffered most understand the value of success best, a lesson I think applicable to everything in life, from the pursuit of personal dreams to the quest of happiness in a harsh world. Discovering this poem took me back to the day I failed an exam in high school. It was an embarrassment, a disappointment to my parents, and a shame before my friends. Yet that episode shaped me. In the end, I retook it several times before passing that physics exam. I reached the goal that meant so much to me with a unique sense of fulfillment. Her words remind me that each step, even the heaviest ones, adds to the greatest of the journey, and that victory is all the sweeter after the storms. Dickinson also explores her own doubts, notably regarding the existence of God, as shown in her poem The Bible is an antique volume. These unanswered questions lie at the heart of her work, just as they inhabited her existence. Emily reveals in her poems a great vulnerability. In the poem, I Measure Every Grief I Meet, she expresses a profound empathy for the suffering of others while revealing her own fear of pain. Her poems testify to her desire to understand what lies beyond visible reality, making her a captivating and inspiring figure. Her poetry invites introspection and self-exploration. Dickinson wrote for herself to explore her inner world. Like her, writing can be a powerful way to free oneself and discover hidden truths. Her work teaches us that even if we don't always find answers, simply asking questions and living with the mystery can help us coexist better with our own doubts and losses. Emily Dickinson remains a major figure in poetry thanks to her ability to capture deep truths in simple lines. She shows us that the invisible emotions, thoughts, death is unreal as the tangible. Poem like Because I Could Not Stop for Death and Hope is the Thing with Feathers illustrates how she transformed the abstract into a concrete. Emily reminds us that poetry is not just words laid on paper, but an exploration of the invisible, of what we feel but cannot express. Through her verses, she invited us to embrace our silence, our mysteries, our depths. Perhaps the true power of poetry lies what it allows us to guess, and those fragments of infinity it offers us without ever explaining. So the next time you read Emily Dickinson, remember each word is an invitation to explore the invisible within yourself. Keep seeking, feeling, dreaming. As she wrote, poetry is the light that let us see. See you soon.